Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something really cool. We are uncovering the invisible rules that literally govern our modern infrastructure. I mean, think about it. From the electricity powering the screen you're looking at right now to the bandwidth delivering this audio, we rarely stop to think about the underlying mathematics keeping these massive networks from just completely collapsing. So today, we're exploring the brilliant, highly engineered world of mechanism design. Now, to understand how we engineer these global networks, we actually have to start with a relatable, incredibly low-stakes human conflict. The economist Eric Maskin poses this classic problem. How do you divide a single cake fairly between two selfish children? Let's call them Mary and Bill. You want them both to be happy, right? But if you just cut it down the middle yourself, Bill might look at Mary's piece, think hers is bigger, and feel completely cheated. The problem isn't the cake itself, the problem is that you, as the parent or the system planner, don't know how they truly perceive those slices.
Okay, let's dive into this. Because we know absolutely nothing about the children's private perspectives, we have to rely on a specific mechanism to guarantee fairness. We can't just ask them what they think is fair, right? They have a massive incentive to lie just to get more cake. We are dealing with an environment of asymmetric, unverifiable information. So we have to introduce a protocol. A strict rule set that forces an optimal outcome regardless of their selfish desires.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how we do that. Forcing Bill to cut the cake, knowing full well that Mary gets to choose her piece first, solves the problem purely through structured incentives. Bill is now completely accountable for the division. Because he knows that if he cuts disparate pieces, Mary is absolutely going to ruthlessly choose the bigger one, it becomes his dominant strategy to cut that cake as perfectly equal as humanly possible. He's incentivized to act fairly, not out of the goodness of his heart, but out of pure, calculated self-interest.
Section 1. Reverse engineering the game. The objective first way.
All right, to transition from our micro-level cake metaphor into the high-stakes, macro-level world of system engineering, we really need to draw a heavy contrast here. Because we're no longer just playing games, we're designing them. Game theory, as you probably already know, models interactions to predict an outcome. It basically asks, given these rules, how will rational, intelligent players act? Well, mechanism design flips that entirely on its head. It is an objective-first approach. It asks if we want a specific system-wide outcome, like maximum efficiency or perfect fairness. How do we reverse engineer the rules of the game to guarantee the players will arrive exactly at that outcome?
Looking at the evolution of these fields, we can historically anchor this mathematical shift. It all really started back with John von Neumann's early work, which established that economic problems are essentially just resource competitions between selfish agents. But as the theory rapidly evolved through the decades, touching on bounded rationality, behavioral economics, and incomplete information, we moved away from just observing social sciences and straight into the realm of hard engineering. Thinkers began to ask, how can we mathematically extract truth from a decentralized network of selfish nodes?
Section 2. Designing incentives. Eliciting the truth.
Now, what's really fascinating here is that this brings us to the ultimate tool we have to force truth-telling in decentralized systems: strategic payments. When you're dealing with agents who hold private information, you cannot just ask them for the truth. You literally have to buy it from them. Leonid Hurwitz recognized that selfish, rational agents are utility maximizers. They will never surrender their private information truthfully unless they are financially incentivized to do it. Hurwitz realized that the solution depends entirely on how agents value their information. His methodology proved that yes, you can elicit the truth, but only by offering precisely calculated compensations or penalties within the system. And that brings us to an absolute towering achievement in this field, the Vickrey-Clark-Groves, or VCG mechanism. This is essentially the mathematical savior of decentralized networks. By charging agents a very specific payment based on the externality, or the impact, they impose on everyone else, the VCG mechanism creates a true dominant strategy equilibrium. It mathematically aligns the selfish interests of the individual with the overall efficiency of the entire system. It forces a socially optimal outcome without ever requiring centralized knowledge of everyone's true preferences. It's honestly genius.
Section 3. Incentives in action. Engineering applications.
Okay, it is time for the scale-up phase. We are taking this elegant mathematical theory, our advanced cake-cutting logic, and applying it directly to the massive, real-world engineering networks that keep our society running. While the theory was born in microeconomics, its current frontier is control engineering. We're going to look at 3 core domains where these abstract mathematics dictate how our modern world functions:
The smart power grids keeping our lights on, the communication networks keeping us connected, and the cybersecurity systems keeping our data safe.
Let's start with electricity. Scaling up to smart power grids via demand-side management is actually exactly like the cake problem. But instead of 2 kids, you have millions of selfish agents, factories, households, smart appliances that all want to consume their slice of electricity at the exact same time. If everyone flips on their AC at 5 p.m. on a hot day, the grid collapses. So, how do we achieve balance?
Well, we achieve it by recognizing the competing goals of the agents. Generators, they want profit. Loads, like your smart home, want cheap, efficient energy. Aggregators want market dominance. And sitting right in the middle is the ISO, the Independent System Operator, acting as the ultimate social planner. The ISO uses market-based mechanism design, essentially these rapid, real-time automated auctions to set dynamic pricing incentives. By manipulating what electricity costs minute by minute based on private demands, the ISO maintains this perfect harmony between generation and load, all cost-effectively.
Let's move on and see how this builds into our next domain. We're shifting our focus now from distributing electricity to distributing internet bandwidth. In communication networks, the resource we're all fighting over is bandwidth, and the agents are the routers, servers, and devices constantly requesting data.
So, in this domain, the cake is network capacity. And if left unchecked, selfish nodes will absolutely hog the system and cause massive congestion. Enter the Kelly mechanism. It's a scalar parameterized pricing model that ensures incredibly efficient bandwidth allocation. And the best part? It requires bare minimum communication. Agents submit bids, and the system planner communicates back a single price per unit of resource. Selfish nodes end up paying exactly for the delay or externality they impose on the rest of the network, which perfectly restricts them from overwhelming the system.
Our final engineering domain today is cybersecurity and investment. Now, this is a highly unique challenge, primarily because cybersecurity is often a non-excludable public good. Think about it. If a network is made secure, everyone on it benefits. But this creates a massive incentive for free riding. Some companies or nodes might just try to enjoy the protection while letting everybody else pay for the expensive security upgrades.
So the crucial point here is understanding the sheer danger of the exit equilibrium. This is a critical and, frankly, terrifying state where an agent calculates that it's actually cheaper for them to unilaterally opt out of the security mechanism just to maximize their own utility. In cybersecurity, one single weak link threatens the entire system. So to prevent this collapse, mechanism design is used to engineer specific taxes and wealth redistribution models, like the externality mechanism we talked about, that essentially eliminate any financial benefit of opting out. The payments are strictly designed to induce absolute voluntary participation, securing the network for everyone.
Section 4. The future of system design. Looking ahead.
It's truly incredible just how much of our daily stability relies entirely on these hidden mathematical incentives. But as we prepare to wrap up, we have to recognize that the mechanisms of the past mostly assumed static environments. And let's be real, our world is moving way too fast for that now. The next frontier relies on managing highly dynamic, completely unpredictable control problems. The biggest leap is going to be integrating mechanism design directly with machine learning. The future belongs to algorithms that don't just calculate a static price, but actually learn and adapt these incentives in real time as human behavior shifts and evolves, overcoming the computational limits of analyzing massive, live systems.
And that leads us to a fascinating and actually maybe a slightly unsettling final thought. We've spent this entire explainer exploring how to design rules that force predictable, efficient behavior out of selfish agents in a network. But as these machine learning mechanisms become infinitely more complex and capable of real-time adaptation, we really have to ask, if we can engineer mathematical incentives to perfectly control our machines, how long until we engineer algorithms to perfectly control us? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Stay curious and always keep questioning the rules of the game.